Hello all and welcome to tomorrow's Women's International Women's Day event 2021. My name's Shauna and I'm tomorrow's Women's Communications Officer, and I am delighted to be hosting today's event, albeit a virtual one. It's going to be a good one. As some of you may know, our event is normally held in our vibrant centre, but unfortunately due to COVID, we've made the move online. But nonetheless, we've got lots of exciting guests for you today. We're welcoming guest speakers CEO Kate Blakemore from Motherwell, Cheshire, and international actor and comedian Pauline Daniels, who will be giving us a speech, a performance and a bit of stand-up as well as serve a spotlight to our amazing partners and organisations who provide essential work for women across the Wirral and beyond. And of course, so much more, including our annual charity AGM, which will be a bit later on today. So stay with us for the next 2 hours or so and be sure to leave live comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our channel, as we will be watching live alongside you at TWW. Let's celebrate women together today and recognise the hurdles that women do still face as we choose to challenge gender bias and stigma together. But first, a foreword from our female boss and CEO Angela Murphy, as well as tomorrow's women patron Dame Lorna Muirhead.
Hello everybody, I'm Angela Murphy. I'm the CEO of Tomorrow's Women Wirral. And I'd like to wish you all a happy International Women's Day. The theme Choose to Challenge instantly makes me think about inspirational women leaders who've had difficulties due to the many challenges they faced in a world where women's voices are not heard as they should be. Women like Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand. How has she been able to positively deal with the pandemic in New Zealand? A challenging approach? A considered caring approach? A woman's approach, maybe? Greta Thunberg, a Swedish environmental activist who from a very early age is internationally known for challenging world leaders to take immediate action against climate change. Greta is a very bright young woman just wanting to contribute to a better world. But what does she get? Negative press for wanting to do such a good thing. Is that because she's a woman? But she is a woman who has chosen and is not afraid to challenge. We had the pleasure of a visit from Meghan and Harry. Now there's an empowered woman who chose to challenge all for a happier life. But she did have the support of a man to do it. But at what cost? It does appear the mere fact you're a woman is a vulnerability to challenge from others in society. As women, we have to believe and know that change is possible. I know I'm late to the party, but I'm just binge watching Downton Abbey on Prime Video. Women being governed and ruled by men, no matter what class system they found themselves in. It depicts women even asking men how they should think. Although there's been significant changes since then, women are still underrepresented. There is still inequality and still a gender pay gap. But women are moving forward. I often think about my nan, who was born in 1907, and how life changed during her living years. She witnessed real challenge from strong women who changed the path of life for other women. I'm CEO of an impactful female charity. Being a CEO, I know there's a huge discrepancy of female CEOs worldwide, and research suggests that's due to a lack of confidence amongst younger women regarding their abilities, despite being very able. Perhaps this could be partly due to society and media perceptions as much as the outdated male privilege that still affects some areas. However, I choose to use my role here at Tomorrow's Women to support that challenge. I facilitate a safe environment to support women, listen to them, guide them, empower them, and encourage opportunities for those women so they're equipped to choose to challenge so they can have a better life. During our work, we hear so many sad stories of lives that could be changed positively if women chose to challenge stigma, challenge hate, challenge society, but most importantly, challenge themselves to believe and achieve. Women are such a powerful tool in today's society, so different to how women were portrayed in Downton Abbey. Women are affecting change daily. But to continue to do that, they need strong supportive leadership and the tools such as motivation, education, social change and inspiration. Ken Loach, a much acclaimed filmmaker and director, whose socially critical directing style and socialist ideals are evident in his films. He said about going to the cinema, "Films can inspire you, but that inspiration can evaporate if there's no support in place to change." Our work here at Tomorrow's Women provides the much needed structure for change to happen. There's a well-known quote, "You can't change without being challenged," and that's so true, but we mustn't see this as a stumbling block. A challenge is a call to action, something that needs to be done, something that needs to be achieved. And when we achieve, we know then that we've deserved it. As women, we must continue to challenge to effect change, but importantly, we must be given the support of society to be able to do it. We need strong women who are able to choose to challenge. We need to support those women, and together as strong women we can choose to challenge to make a fairer society for all. A challenged world is a progressive world, and each of us have the right to contribute to that. So please choose to challenge.
It would be absolutely marvellous for us all to be together today, as we usually are, celebrating International Women's Day, when we energise and support each other. That would be absolutely marvellous, but alas, because of this evil virus, we're having to do it online. I have to say that being with people is the thing I'm missing most. I find no shortage of things to do. My house has never been as clean. I'm cooking wonderful meals, but I'm bored with my own cooking. I'm ironing shirts until they're coming out of my ears. But these events are solo, and as such, from my point of view, they're not much fun, and I guess they're not much fun for you either. And as the year goes on, I'm less and less inclined to cook, clean and iron with any virtue. It's absolutely marvellous that TWW have gone online, and so I hope you, like me, do not feel abandoned. They are to be congratulated for doing their best with modern technology. Well done, TWW. But there's no substitute for being together with you in Birkenhead. Always such a lively and positive time, to say nothing of the wonderful food we all enjoy together on days like this. I hope, like me, that many of you have had your vaccine. I've had my first one. I'm looking forward to my second one. I see it very much as the way out of this pandemic, and the way, please God, that we will soon actually all be together again in Birkenhead. Meantime, look after yourselves, and we look forward perhaps next year to being together on this day in person rather than just on Zoom. But thank goodness for technology, and thank Shona and everybody at TWW for facilitating this morning. Bye.
Thank you, Angela and Dame Lorna. Now let's get straight into it with our first guest speaker, the fabulous Pauline Daniels, who will be talking to us about her life and career and introducing us to Shirley Valentine. But I'll let her tell you a bit more.
Hello. First of all, happy International Women's Day to each and every one of you. And thanks so much to Tomorrow's Women Wirral for asking me to do this. It's an honour. I've watched right from the beginning and seen them grow, and I'm very proud of everything that they do. And girls, all I can say to you is anything is possible, and with the help of Tomorrow's Women Wirral, I know that you're all finding little avenues of life that maybe you thought were closed off to you in the past. How have you got on in lockdown? I've been locked down since March, almost, except I did go out for a meal on Boxing Night, which perhaps is a bit of a mistake when I think about it now, although we were allowed to, and it was the first time my husband and I had been out, and we went to a very reputable restaurant, and then I tested positive for COVID, and so I spent the beginning of the year in bed. And then unfortunately he got it, and so he's now at this moment in time just getting over it and just recovering. So it's been a tough year, hasn't it? Well, how's lockdown been for you? Particularly difficult, I think, for girls like you who are in need of support for every single thing that you do these days. It's and I know, and believe you me, I know. I've been through an awful lot in my career, but lockdown's been tough in lots of ways. I mean, for instance, you couldn't go to hairdressers, could you? That was a nightmare. I mean, I managed with a pair of scissors and watching someone on the telly to cut me fringe, but, you know, it looked a bit like my mother had stuck a bowl on my head and cut round it like she used to when I was a kid. But, like, below the belt, all the beauty salons were shut, weren't they? Who the hell invented an epilator? I bought one years ago. Thought I'd give it a try. God bless and save us. No chance. So that went. So I thought, well, the best thing to do is just to let it grow and plait it. Which was quite attractive, really, except every time I got undressed, I thought I was being stalked by Willie Nelson. That's a bit of an age-appropriate line, that, isn't it? You might not know who Willie Nelson is, but he's got plaits. I tried a bit of a home kit on my hair, going blonde. I thought I'd put a colour on. It said put the colour on. So I put the colour on and wrap it with a nice tea towel. So I did that. Sat in the airing cupboard for 3 days. When I took it off, I had Welcome to Wales round the front of my head. So that was a bit of a nuisance to get rid of. Anyway, on a serious matter, I have been asked to talk about, well, a few things, and I'm going to do, I have recorded a little bit of a stand-up routine, and I'm also going to do a little bit of Shirley Valentine for you. But on a serious note, I've been a stand-up comedian and an actress now for 41 years this year. Time's flown. And in the beginning, it was very, very difficult because nobody accepted the fact that a woman could be funny. I mean, I'm not being funny, girls, but you know yourselves, from your mates, from your mother, that women are much funnier than men anyway. It's just that we don't get the chance to do it. But I took the bull by the horns, started off as a singer, and then gradually the songs got less and the comedy got more. And it was a hard fight because clubs didn't want to pay women who told gags because they didn't think it was very feminine to do such a thing. And I've got to be honest that I did think at first, okay, so if I put a suit on, like, you know, trouser suit on, maybe that's a bit, but then I thought, no, to hell with that. I'm a woman who loves feathers and sequins and whatever. And so that's the way I went, which appealed to the women. And of course, that not only appealed to the women, the fact that I ripped men to bits, that appealed to the women a lot as well. Frightened the living daylights out of the fellas. But after 1984, when I was the first and only woman ever to do Granada TV's The Comedians, I started to be taken a little bit more seriously. And my wages started to creep up and match the man's. Because men were getting paid a lot more than I was, twice, maybe sometimes 3 times as much as I was. I'm glad to say that with a lot of hard work, that changed. And I did become up there and they became there. So that was great. But when I did The Comedians, oh God, I mean, what a day that was. It was all men, obviously. And I literally could feel the knives going into me back as I was recording the bloody thing. But anyway, that all came and went. I did a television programme once for Central Television, and I did a gag about a mother-in-law, and I was actually told not to do it because a woman telling a mother-in-law joke wasn't really right. It's okay for a man to do it, but if a woman does it, she's talking about somebody's grandmother. And so I had to drop it. But things have changed now. I mean, not completely. I mean, it's still very male-dominated, my business, particularly when it comes to television and comedy. I remember reading an article that Victoria Wood had written about the fact that they weren't using enough women on panel shows, game shows. And that has changed a little bit. But normally, you still just get the token woman, don't you? But women are starting to break through now in comedy, which is great. I then turned to acting in 1986, not completely, obviously, because I still do the both. In fact, just before lockdown, I'd finished doing a tour of Calendar Girls, the musical, which was very, very empowering for me because I'd had breast cancer and I'd had reconstruction. I always used to say I've got a good set of headlamps, but the bulb's gone in this one. And I mean, that's no fun at all, actually, to be honest. I remember going to the doctors going to the surgeon, and he said to me, I'm going to have to take your nipple off and then sew it back on. And my fella said, well, if he puts it on your back, I'll learn how to dance. Now, I'd like to say that was a joke, but it was the truth. And then about 4 weeks after the operation, I was sat there in the clinic, stripped to the waist, and the door opened, and I went, ta-da, what do you think? This fella said, fabulous, but I'm the window cleaner. I'm only joking. Anyway, so doing Calendar Girls and having to sort of get them out was like quite empowering. Obviously, I was covered for quite a lot, but I did have an accident where the robe slipped, and but I did have me back to the audience, so all this was my arse, really. But anyway, that's not a pleasant sight. But so I'd just finished that before this lockdown kicked in, and I wouldn't mind, but I'd been moaning about the fact that I'd been 18 months on the road, and it was time for a rest. Well, I've had a bloody rest now, haven't I? But my career moved on. I worked really, really hard and got to do some great places. I worked in the London Palladium. In fact, this year, sorry, not this year, it's last year now, November, I actually filmed a piece for the Royal Variety Show because the Royal Variety charity helps a lot of people like myself who are depending on wages from sort of the freelance side of the business, and so I did a little piece for them, so that was quite nice to do that. But I mean, I've worked in theatres all over the country, I've done cruises all over the world, and it's been my hard work and tenacity that's got me there. And it is a terrible, terrible shame that we have to work twice as hard to be considered half as good as men. And as I say, it's getting a little bit easier, but not enough, by no means enough. But it's been a great career. And in 2009, probably one of the best things that ever happened to me in my career was that John Moores University offered me an honorary fellowship, and I thought it was a joke at first. I thought someone was having me on, because you don't think of that, do you? Some little Birkenhead rag-ass comedian getting a cap and gown. But I got my cap and gown, very proud of it. And every year, pandemic allowed, I get to walk down that aisle and watch all the graduates getting their diplomas, and that's always something that I'm quite proud of. And I'm really proud of it because it was one of the last big things my dad saw before we lost him, and I'll never forget the pride on him and my mum's face when I actually walked down that aisle and walked past them to go up onto the stage to get my honorary fellowship. So that was great. And I mean, I've fought for everything. I've had to fight for everything because it's been one of those businesses, and I know what it's like to struggle as a woman who doesn't feel safe in her own home as well. I sadly had an abusive marriage, and I mean, it starts with being controlled, which was very difficult, but you don't realise the way it's happening in little tiny bits, and it was only when I sort of had enough, when the violence crept in and I couldn't really take that anymore. I mean, it was very difficult to have to put makeup on your face to cover the bruises and see the man who'd done it just watching you do it without apologising. And then one day, I don't know where I got the strength from, but I did. I got up, I packed my bags and I went. And it was the best thing I ever did in my life. I mean, okay, I hung around a bit too long, but I suppose part of you thinks at first, oh, well, maybe he won't do it again. Maybe he'll apologise. And then as it gets worse, it's like, okay, if I leave, he'll kill me. And you become frightened to death. But I've got the strength, and I've got the support of, now I've got the support of and the love of a good man, which has made a lot of difference to me. But you don't need that. You don't need that at all. You need support. You need support from your friends and your family, and you need support from the likes of Tomorrow's Women Wirral. But you can do it. If there's something you want, you can go out there and you can get it and you can do it. And I prove that. I mean, I'm 65 now, and will get a pension at the end of July, thanks to the government. I'm only 6 years late. And in those 41 years, there's been fights, and there's been struggles, but I've always got there. And it's like that song, I get knocked down, but I get up again. Ain't never going to keep me down. And that's exactly what you've got to keep thinking about. Be inspired by others. I'm always inspired by, it's usually great women. It's always great women. I mean, I'm very proud. Every year I host the Merseyside Woman of the Year Awards. And when I stand there and I listen to the stories of these girls who have, oh God, in the face of adversity, done all sorts of things and have got there, and it makes you humble to see how people fight for things in their life. And it's great on International Women's Day that we can all say, well, yeah, we're getting there, we're doing it, and we are doing it, and we will do it. Girls, just hang on in there. As I say, I'm so proud to be speaking to you all, and I'm so happy to be part of Tomorrow's Women Wirral, because that's what I am. That's exactly what I am. So I'm keeping fighting. I will fight till the end, until there's no breath left in my body. And I want you to do that too, because it can be done. It can be done. We can all do it. We can all make it. Just because we're women doesn't mean we can't do it. It doesn't make us any less of a person. And if you're going through struggles and bad times at the moment, remember, there is light at the end of the tunnel. You'll get through this. With the help and support of all of us, we're always there. I've been very fortunate in my career to play some great, strong women. I played Annie Wilkes in Misery. That was a bit scary. Thank you, Stephen King. I played Mama Morton in Chicago. Mama Rose in Gypsy, one of my favourite roles. I've just finished playing Jessie in Calendar Girls, the musical. I played Betty and Mrs. K, both Willie Russell plays, Bruce Block Park and Our Day Out, which were delightful. And Mae West in the West End, which was just a massive highlight of my career, at the Apollo in Shaftesbury Avenue. It's a shame to see all the theatres shut now, but never mind, they will reopen, we will get back to it. But out of all of these fabulous women, the one woman that does stick in my mind forever is Shirley Valentine. I have the great pleasure of playing Shirley, and have done for many, many, many times since 1991. Now, for those who've been living under a rock, Shirley's 42, so we need a lot of imagination here. And she lives in just a suburban area of Liverpool. Normal woman, got a little job, just a cleaning job, and two kids, Melandra and Brian, married to Joe. She doesn't want to leave Joe, but she's got a best friend, and her best friend is divorced, and she's just got money through from the sale of a house, and she's got tickets to take Shirley to Greece. Now, the one thing Shirley's always wanted to do was travel. But in this little piece, I thought, because I can't actually do the whole lot, because we don't have the rights to film the whole lot. The film rights belong to the film company. So I thought I'd just pick little snippets. And this one is this particular time where Shirley's trying to justify to herself actually whether she could go to Greece or not. And we found her at a table, peeling a potato. She's making chips and egg for Joe because it's, well, unfortunately, it's Thursday and Thursday's normally mince, but then that's a totally different story. And it goes a little bit like this. You know, if I told him I was going to Greece for a fortnight, he'd say it was for the sex. Well, it's obvious, isn't it? 2 women on their own going to Greece. I wouldn't mind, but I'm not even particularly fond of it. Sex. I'm not on my wall. I'm not. I think sex is like Sainsbury's. You know, overrated. It's just a lot of pushing and shoving, and you still come out with very little in the end. Of course, things would have been different if I'd have been born into the next generation, Arm and Andrew's generation. Well, they discovered it, you see. The clitoris. The clitoris kids, I call them, and good luck to them. I don't begrudge them a thing, but when I was a kid, we'd never heard of this clitoris, had we? We just all thought it was a case of in, out, shake it all about. The stars would light up the sky and the earth would tremble. The only thing that trembled for me was the headboard on the bed. But then it hadn't been discovered, had it? The clitoris. Oh, it was there. It was always there, like penicillin and America. It was there, but it's not really there until it's been discovered. Perhaps I should have married Christopher Columbus. I was about 28 when I first read about the clitoris. Oh, and I was fascinated. Apparently, it was all Freud's fault, you know, Sigmund. What he'd said was that there were 2 ways for a woman to have an orgasm, and the main way was by having all these little muscles stimulated, and the other orgasm was caused by the little clitoris. Well, that's what he'd said, and everyone believed him. Well, you would, wouldn't you? Sigmund Freud. I mean, who's going to argue with a fellow called Sigmund Freud? I mean, let's say that you and Sigmund Freud were waiting at the bus stop, and the bus comes, and you say to Sigmund Freud, does this bus go to Versakli? And he says to you, yeah. This is one of the 2 buses which go to Versakli. Well, you'd get on the bus, wouldn't you? I'll tell you what, you'd be bloody lucky if you ever got to Versakli. There's only 1 bus goes to Versakli. The clitoris bus. The other bus doesn't even touch Norris Green. But that's what he'd been saying, and they've been handing out this information for years, you know, like they did with spinach. It's marvellous, isn't it? Fancy telling people there's 2 kinds of orgasms. It's like saying there's 2 Mount Everests. Some of us are lucky enough to stumble across the real mountain, while the rest of us are all running up and down this little hillock and wondering why the view isn't very good when we get to the top. Anyway, when I first read about it, it was dead interesting. And, well, you know when you read a word for the first time and you've never heard it spoken, well, you can get it wrong, can't you? Like when I was a kid, there was a kid in our road called Gooey. Honest to God, Gooey. His mother used to go, Gooey, get in this house, Gooey. Your tea's on the table here, Gooey. Well, apparently, when she'd been looking for a name for him, she'd been reading this American magazine and she'd seen this name. G-U-Y. So that's what she christened him. Gooey. Gooey McFadden, he was called. Well, it was the same for me with the clitoris. When I first read it, I thought it was pronounced clitoris. I still think it sounds nicer that way, actually. Clitoris. That could be a name, couldn't it? And tonight, here is the 6 o'clock news read by Trevor MacDonald and Clitoris Smith. Oh, shut up, Wall, why not? There's plenty of fellas walking around called Dick. Anyway, that's how I thought it was pronounced when I first mentioned it to Joe. We were sitting in our front room and I said to him, Joey, have you ever heard of the clitoris? He never even looked up from his paper. Yeah, he said, but it doesn't go as well as the Ford Cortina. Towards the end of that first scene, Shirley's in the kitchen and she's sort of weighing up the fact that maybe her life is a little bit too much in a rut. And she sort of goes into quite a sad bit, really. But it's a beautifully written piece. So I just thought I'd do it for you. So imagine her, she's there at the stove. She's got a frying pan, her chips are on, and she's just about to get the egg finished. He says he still loves me, you know. But he doesn't. It's just something that he says. It's terrible, isn't it? I love you. It's like as though it's supposed to make everything all right. I mean, you can be wrecked and racked and half insane, and if you complain, he'll say, "What's up? You know I love you." I love you. They should bottle it and sell it. It cures everything. And what I've always wanted to know is, if somebody says, "I love you," why does it automatically give them the rights to treat you worse than people they only like? Or people they don't like at all? You see, if I wasn't my fella's wife, if I was the fella in the paper shop, he'd say nice things to me, he'd speak nice to me, but he doesn't speak nice to me. He doesn't say he loves the fella in the paper shop. He says he loves me. When he speaks to me at all. I love you. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, why don't I leave? And the fact of the matter is, I don't know why. I don't know why anybody should put up with a situation in which a 42-year-old woman gets the opportunity of travelling just a little bit, just for 2 weeks of the year, and can't do it. I don't know why. I just know that if you were talking to me about me, I'd say you were telling me a joke. I hate the joke of it. I hate a life of talking to the wall. But you see, I've been talking to the wall for longer than I can remember. And I'm frightened. I'm frightened of life beyond the wall. When I was a girl, I used to jump off our roof for fun. Now I get vertigo just standing up on high-heeled shoes. I'm terrified, if you want to know. I'm terrified that if I left him, there'd be no place left for me in the life beyond the wall. Oh, they saved a place for a while. But when it seemed like I wasn't coming back, they'd given it away. Maybe to someone younger, someone who could still speak the language of the place beyond the wall. So I stay here. And well, if I have to give up going to Greece, soddy. What's the Acropolis? It's only an old-fashioned ruin, isn't it? It's like the DJs say, we're all Scousers here, there's nothing wrong with us. We've always got a laugh and a joke. They're not like us in London, are they? They're not like us in Greece, are they? Greece. You know what Greece is, don't you? Greece is what you cook his egg and chips in. Anyway, another glass of rising and I can pretend this is Greece. Oh, look, Wall. Look at the sun and the way it's shining. Look at the sea. The sea. Oh, you can almost smell the honeysuckle and taste the olives. Oh, look, Wall. Look at that woman. Look at that lovely woman. Doesn't she look serene? Sitting beneath a parasol at a table by the sea, drinking wine in a country where the grape is grown.
Thank you so much to Pauline, but that is not the last of you we will be seeing today. Pauline will be back a little bit later on with some stand-up comedy and an update from Shirley Valentine herself. Will she make it to Greece? That's the big question. Next up, we're shining on some amazing services in Wirral and the Liverpool City region for women, and I'll hand over to our partner agencies to tell you a little bit more about them.
Hello, my name's Molly.
And I'm Leah, and we work for Citizens Advice Wirral. Citizens Advice Wirral is your local charity that helps with your practical problems, offering good quality, independent advice to anyone who needs it.
From benefit advice to help managing debts to supporting you with your well-being. You can contact us 9am to 4pm on weekdays on 0808 278 7848.
Or if you are a partner organisation, use our partner referral form that can be found on our website. Happy International Women's Day 2021
from Citizens Advice Wirral.
Hi, my name is Hannah and I'm the Marketing and Communications Officer for Tranmere Rovers in the community. Here at Tranmere, we run several sessions every week for girls and women, from our under-7s team to our development session and our walking football session where our oldest participant is over 70. We welcome everyone here at Tranmere, no matter your age or capability, as we offer a safe space for you to come along and have fun with like-minded people. Due to the current pandemic, we've had to put a halt to our face-to-face operations, but we've been keeping engaged and active online through activity packs, over the phone as a helpline, and supplying food hampers for those who have needed it most. We look forward to welcoming some of you to Tranmere when our doors open again when it's safe to do so. But for now, stay safe, and from me and everyone at Tranmere Rovers, I'd like to wish you a happy International Women's Day.
Blackburne from Blackburne House Women's Organisation in Liverpool. We are a women's organisation who support women through education and social enterprise. You can contact us through Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at Blackburne House, and you can also find out more about us on our website www.blackburnhouse.co.uk, and Burn has an E at the end. So it's a happy International Women's Day 2021 from all of us at Blackburne House, and we hope you have a fabulous day.
So hi, my name is Kathleen Charters and I'm the Wellbeing Practitioner at Sahir House. Sahir House provides HIV support, prevention, information and training Merseyside. Sahir House provides services to people living with HIV or affected by HIV, and we have specific services for women who are living with HIV. We provide specialist counselling to support women living with HIV who are experiencing poor mental or emotional health when needed. We also have an LGBTQI plus support group which provides support to women seeking asylum or who are refugees, and we have a Trans Health Merseyside peer support group supporting women who are identified under the trans umbrella. We facilitate safe and confidential peer support space for women, and will have speakers and topics relevant to the issues women are experiencing to empower, inform and build self-esteem. And we do a whole lot more. So I would encourage you to either visit our website at www.sahir.org. You can follow us on our Twitter, Facebook and Instagram feeds at Sahir House for up-to-date information on what we are doing. And you are welcome to email us at info@sahir.uk.com with any inquiries. And having said all that, we hope to see you soon one way or another. And happy International Women's Day 2021 from Sahir House.
We hope you're enjoying the event so far. Don't forget to comment below, and if you're just joining us, welcome to tomorrow's Women's International Women's Day 2021. Next up, we welcome the wonderful Kate Blakemore, CEO of Motherwell, Cheshire, who will be talking to you about work-life balance, mental health and founding her own charity. Over to you, Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate Blakemore. I'm the founder and CEO of the Motherwell Cheshire charity. I've been asked to put this video together to explain my journey to setting up the charity, and also to explain more about what I feel are the current needs for women and girls and what our focus are going to be over the next 12 months. So a little bit about me. I'm 40. I was 40 last March, and that's a story in itself because I didn't get to celebrate it because we literally went into lockdown the day after I was 40. So I'm still milking that story a lot. I have 3 children. I have one daughter who's 13, a son that's 12, and my youngest son is 8. I founded Motherwell 6 years ago on International Women's Day in 2015. So actually this Women's Day is our 6-year birthday. I had so much planned last year for our 5-year birthday. And unfortunately, didn't get to do any of it. So it looks less likely we're going to do anything for 6 years as well. But what I have been doing is reflecting back over my time for the last 6 years, looking at the impact the charities has made, but also my insight as well. So that's a little bit about the charity. We are a women and girls mental health charity. The name Motherwell Cheshire perhaps doesn't lend itself to that as much anymore. So we try and talk about our individual projects as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So my background is years and years ago, I did a business degree. I was a retail manager for Matalan. I did there after graduating, well, at the same time actually, while doing my degree, I also did their graduate management trainee, and I loved it. I absolutely love retail, but it never lended itself to being a job that a woman could do, really. I was doing about 72 hours a week. And that's wrong. I need to go back, rewind. It is a job a woman could do very well. However, it was for mums. I never saw any mums return after maternity leave, and that was always in the back of my mind, really. So I did the same. I ended up being a store manager, and then later on I did some project work as well. So this was always around, for me, the amount of hours of work. It didn't really matter as such. I had no commitment. I was young. I was on a good wage. And then I had an ectopic pregnancy, an unplanned ectopic pregnancy in 2004, I think it was. And that did raise a lot of alarm bells for me, really. When I went in, they were surprised I didn't realise I was pregnant. They didn't understand how I didn't realise I was pregnant. And it was literally because I was continually tired from doing that many hours anyway. So the tiredness was nothing new to me, I guess. Why I was on maternity leave, wasn't really maternity leave, was it? It was sickness leave. I was off and recovering from my operation. I just reflected on that. I reflected on how my body was telling me I was ill, and yet I didn't recognise it. So redundancy come up while I was off, and I'd always wanted to be a counsellor since for years and years ago, when I was a teen, really. I'd love the thought of that counselling relationship and that special relationship that a counsellor could provide for clients. So I looked into that, and that was the start of my counselling journey, really. So I took redundancy. I had, did some other jobs. It wasn't at the time anything that I didn't want to become a mum. I wasn't thinking of becoming a mum. So I started to do my counselling, and then virtually had to start again, start at the bottom. I did some voluntary work for victim support. I then went to work in a refuge, and all the time, as I say, my counselling was going on in the background. I then went on to have my 2 older children. So I took a break. After my first year of counselling, because my son was quite poorly, I took a year off to come to terms with that, have my own counselling, and then I returned to do the final 2 years, and had a son. I had my 3rd son just before I qualified, really. So I've always had my private practice in the background, and then I become a support worker in the homeless hostel. And I guess this is the journey, if you like, to Motherwell. In the hostel, we worked with a lot of people who, unfortunately, were having their children removed from their care. So they would come and, stay with us at the hostel, basically with nothing at all. Their lives had been turned upside down due to what had happened to them being a mum. And then I also became a counsellor at the local YMCA, and I tended to be working with a lot of mums again who had their children removed from their care and were then finding themselves living in a hostel. So to me that just said that something was going wrong. The aftercare of mums was going wrong. The lead up to child removal wasn't quite right. So it was just there. I parked it and I continued to do what I needed to do. I then had an opportunity through another project to be funded if I could set up my own charity or not-for-profit organisation. So very long story short, 3 of us, set up what we called Motherwell CIC at the time, a not-for-profit organisation. I couldn't, unfortunately, get funding to what I wanted to fund, and that was to support women who had had their children removed from their care. But one thing from my own personal journey of my son being quite poorly when he was born was the lack of support for new mums in the area of Crewe and Winsford area where I'd worked for many, many years previously. So we did get funding for that, and it grew and different things were added to it. It was the other 2 directors did decide to leave and do their own things. So in 2017 we were getting more funding in, and it was evident to me that it was too much for me on my own. So I moved and made the decision to become a charity, which was a big step for me. That was me almost losing full control of where we went, but I knew it was the right decision. I couldn't make all them decisions on my own. I was juggling everything, and I'll come a little bit more back to that anyway. So in 2017, we become a registered charity, and it was the best thing we ever did. And from there, we set out our 3-year strategic goals, and we were quite clear that we wanted to become a women and girls mental health charity, which is what we are today. So just keeping it on my story, really, it was hard. It was really, really hard. I would say the lead up from probably 2016 to 2017, I was on my own with a growing not-for-profit organisation. I was responsible for a team of volunteers, for some paid staff, and for, obviously, most importantly, all the service users that we did. And it consumed me, and it massively overwhelmed me. And from that, I would definitely say there was an element of anxiety that come through that. I could not switch off. I was juggling that many plates at that time. I felt the pure sense of responsibility of it all was quite overwhelming. And I was stuck then. I was in a place of do or walk away. It was taking over every hour. I had to work because I still wasn't really bringing in a steady wage. So I had to do all my other work to bring in a wage as well as being a mum. It was really tough times. And I do reflect on this a lot when I'm talking to people. It is tough. That sense of responsibility for anybody is hard. And that's why making a decision to become a charity and have that support of a board of trustees was really important to me and helped me then. Although I was handing over overall responsibility, it was the best thing for my mental health and the best thing for the charity overall was to do that. So I did do that. My journey as a mum, I have written about this a lot. I found it really difficult the first couple of years. Really lonely, huge sense of losing myself. I'd gone from, being one of the youngest managers in Matalan, being quite successful, if you like, in that way. I found the job very easy. I enjoyed it. It was very carefree. It was laugh. It was always a massive challenge. And then I left all that behind quite quickly. It was a very rushed decision because of the ectopic pregnancy and taking the opportunity to get redundancy. In hindsight, it was probably a decision I made wrongly, but then I don't ever regret doing it in another way either. I cannot imagine working in retail now. So, yeah, I just found that whole, I didn't know who I was. I had lots of different things I needed to do. And it was difficult. I think for me it was difficult having 2 young children. So there's only 17 months between my first 2 children. And Lennon was quite poorly when he was born. We found out at 20 weeks he was going to be born with his stomach outside his body, and then he would need to be operated on as soon as he was born. So although I knew all that, he was quite poorly after. He had to stay for the first 2 months of his life. He was in Alder Hay. And I also had a 17-month-old who couldn't live with us at Alder Hay. So all of a sudden we were all in different places, and I really struggled with that. And then when we come home, he was still quite a poorly baby. So in the end, I made the decision it was just easier not really to go anywhere. So that from somebody that was driving here, there and everywhere, just going to work, and to staying in and having two young children, I'm not sure if it was postnatal depression or more perhaps post-trauma, which I've just done some CPD around trauma counselling. I can relate to some of that story definitely, and since done a few blogs about it. So yeah, that's where we were. And then I went on to have a third child, and that was just the best thing I did in a way, because it was just such a great, fabulous, very fast, no pain relief birth, and I think I needed that after the 2 previous traumatic births that had happened, really. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and I share that story because I want to make that difference when we are working with mums at Motherwell. Birth trauma is always something that interests me. In 2017, I myself had a miscarriage. I was quite far gone and I wasn't aware that I was pregnant. So all my story, really, I do share it. I don't talk about it a lot, but all forms part of what we want to do and what we do in Motherwell in terms of our counselling and our support for new mums. However, I never wanted Motherwell to just be a new mum project. In 2017, when we become a charity, we were lucky enough to be funded for our Believe project, which supports mums who have at risk of or have had children removed from their care. So this is what I'd always wanted to do. There's such a lack of support for those mums. And I always feel that they're misunderstood. And, for those of you that do follow my work and follow what we do, I write about that a lot. I get frustrated because they are misunderstood. It's never anybody's fault, their childhood. We can't all have been in the same position when we're born, or if we could, it'd be so much easier, let's say. So yeah, we got on to fund that, and then it made me realise if we could work with these mums even earlier, there's a chance they would never have been in that situation in the first place. So in 2018, we got some funding to launch our Inspire project. 2019, and our Inspire project works with young girls with the idea that we support them when they're in a vulnerable place, and that hopefully they would never end up on our Inspire project. So quite ambitious. But that's the rationale behind it, really. And then our other project is for women who are over the age of 50 and still feel that there's so much to give. Now, for some reason, in my private practice, it's tend to have always been women from the age of around 45 to 55 that I'd worked with. And loneliness had always been one of the presenting issues, really, yet they had so much skills that they could bring to anything, and some of them have gone on to make amazing changes in their life. So our over 50s project, the Bright Stars project, is about supporting women or the women supporting us by offering us their skills to support some of our younger ones, really. So that sounds really complicated, but it's not. So that's Motherwell, working with women from the ages of 14, right, with no upper limit, really. This year, or last year, I did a Women and Girls conference, in October, and I wanted to do that conference to shape what our services need to be going forward this year. So I'd already had it planned that I was going to do it in October, but I didn't have it planned that we were going to be in the middle of a world pandemic. So it was a really informative conference that did help me to inform our services going forward. And I found it quite interesting when I was promoting the conference, really, and I still battle with people saying that I'm a feminist, because I'm not sure I would even describe myself as that, and I'm absolutely not saying there's anything wrong with people that do either. I guess it's about my identification and what I would describe myself as, really. Forever, for whenever I can remember, mine's always been about fairness and equality, and getting equality for everybody, for males, for females. It just didn't matter what gender they are or identify as. It's the injustice that really gets to me, and I feel at the moment, relating it back to COVID, I could quite easily get stressed with the whole situation of how the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. So for me, it's about equality for everybody, and whether that fits part of the feminism. There's so many different models now around feminism. Our feminism, the modern day feminism, more inclusive. And I do lots of reading, and I still don't know where I fit in that, if I'm honest. I'm more happy with that. I want to strive towards equality for all, and in terms of accessing services, and in terms of life aspiration, and being able to achieve what everybody should achieve, no matter where you've come from in the past. I'm really lucky with some of the mentors and support I've had on my journey. And it sounds really sad, but they've taken me seriously, and some of them have been, funders that have wanted to put into the charity, and I love that they saw me as an equal to them, and I think that's how it should be. Not that they had the power because they've got the money; they were generally interested in supporting me, which in turn supports the charity, which in turn supports the service users. So, I think that's been a great thing for me to hold on to, the belief that some of these funders have had in me to be able to roll out such services and have such impact with the charity. So they've been a little nuggets along the way sometimes when I've not had that belief myself. So that, linking into imposter syndrome. For many years, I did have that anxiety around, when's the bubble going to burst? When's the bubble going to burst? I'm going to get found out here, and that become a real overwhelming anxiety to me, and creeps in some days. But I must say, since perhaps March of last year, funny enough, when I had my birthday, I felt, I'm here now, and we're safe, and we're going to plough on, and we'll get through this pandemic, and we'll continue to grow steadily as a charity. So I was quite at peace with that, really, and I think the pandemic has done quite a bit for me in terms of slowing everything down, and yet in a different way we've grown as a charity by doing that. So the conference, I do jump all over the place, as you can see. The conference for me was about shaping services and where we needed to be. One thing that come up a lot in everybody's talk was role models, and that I have put into our manifesto that we, this year we're going to look at getting some mentors in all of our services that we offer, really, and using them mentors to be the positive role models for whoever wants to access that service, really. Many people that we support don't have those positive role models, and that's really difficult for them to sometimes we're expecting them to walk away from their family, to move on with their life. So role models was a real big presenting issue for us. And easy access to services as well, I think, is something that we all need to be aware of at the moment. The barriers along the way, particularly poverty, and the barriers to mental health and what that brings. And that's something I personally want to explore outside of Motherwell this year. And there's a few points in our manifesto that you can see on our website. But the other one I just wanted to mention really was the understanding of mental health. It's easy for me. Perhaps I live and breathe mental health. I've been a counsellor for many years now. We have awareness days, which are great, and they get the conversations going. But do you understand? Would you understand what it's like for somebody that's got severe depression? Would you understand what high functioning anxiety is? And that's something that we've put in our manifesto this year. Within our team, we have many mental health, lived experience of mental health, and counsellors that have a very clear understanding of mental health, and mental health first aiders as well. Because mental health is such a broad term, we need to be talking about what it's like to be depressed, because it's a big difference to what it's like to have high functioning anxiety. And that's something we're going to do this year. It needs to be done anyway. It absolutely needs to be done now. People are presenting with issues that they've never experienced before. There's people I'm talking to who, could this be anxiety? Do you think this is anxiety? I'm scared about going out. And, they're not recognising it themselves. And for people that have never had to access services before, it's a big challenge for them to even know where to go. So we need to be working more as teams in organisations. I've always wanted to bring statutory and third sector organisations together. That's tough. I can't do that on my own. We are being seen to be more important. The third sector really stepped up in the pandemic, and I'm proud to work with all the charities that I work with locally. But it's a big task for us all. It absolutely is a big task. So I think I've probably gone over my time. I hope that was interesting. I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world to be able to. I've always wanted to run a charity. I get the buzz that I did from retail, but it's for such a worthy cause to work with the amazing women and girls that we do. Any tips that I would offer to people? Believe in yourself. And when you have the days that you don't believe in yourself, make sure you've got some other people around you that believe in you. It'll give you them tools to keep going day in, day out. No matter what you do, and I enjoy reading about people and autobiographies and talking to people. Everybody has the bumps in the road. And I know some bumps can be really challenging, and it's not about getting back on that bike and continuing the next day. But you can continue with the right support around you, being honest about how you're feeling. You can keep going, and make sure you have your army of people behind you, like I do, that believe in you. So that's my talk. I'm Kate Blakemore from Motherwell, Cheshire. Our website is www.motherwellcheshirecio.com. I have my own website as well, which is www.kateblakemore.com. I also have a YouTube video channel, because I love interviewing women. I love it. So if you are interested in me interviewing you and chatting about a passion that you have, then go through my website and please contact me. And a huge thank you to Tomorrow's Women Wirral for asking me to do this video.
Amazing, Kate. Thank you so much. An important message there to believe in yourself and achieve your dreams, and most importantly, access support when you need it. You can find out more about Motherwell on their website, which will be linked below, along with all of the agency details from today's event. Before we learn about some more amazing service spotlights, I welcome the Tomorrow's Women team with an International Women's Day poem dedicated to the women across the world.
Today is a celebration for all women around the world.
Ladies who've dared dream big ever since they were little girls.
For the diversity and talents that lie within a feminine's heart.
For the courage and determination that prevents us from falling apart.
We can raise families and build businesses and be proud of what we've achieved.
Where once over, visions of that scale could never have been believed.
Ladies, stand up and be counted. Smile at how far we have come.
And cherish every single day as daughter, wife, companion or mum.
Don't let anybody tell you that there are set paths for you to follow.
As a little girl with a passion is an inspiring woman of tomorrow.
So celebrate all women and acknowledge the great things they do.
And tell a lady close to your heart just how much she means to you.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie. I'm a key worker here at Wirral CGM. On a Tuesday evening from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m, we run a clinic here called the Health Huddle. That we say sex workers, but it's open to any female who just needs support, advice, just needs somebody to listen. We encourage women to come in and engage with ourselves, and we inspire change. One of our ladies, from the day she walked through the doors of the Health Huddle, was in great need of support, and she received that support. And this lady on the 11th of March is into rehab to take on the second part of her journey. We're the first drug service in Merseyside to offer the COVID vaccine, which for us makes us really, really proud. We also have 3 key workers, which is myself, Tandy and Kerry. We have our homeless link nurse, who is Kerry Greenup. We also have our health assistant, who is Julie, who offers needle exchange, BVV testing, chlamydia testing, but also there again, the ladies can come in and they get a wee bag of goodies, so they'll get toiletries. We even provide clothes if needed, underwear, etc. if needed. So on a Tuesday evening, we've got a safe, secure place for our ladies to come and just chat. We also get support on a Tuesday evening from Red Umbrella and Tomorrow's Women.
Hiya, my name's Natalie. I'm a recovery worker at Wirral Ways. Wirral Ways are the drug and alcohol support service on the Wirral, offering one-to-one group and medical support for people living with addiction issues. Following the lifting of the COVID restrictions, I'm really excited that I'm going to be spending some time each week at Tomorrow's Women to offer alcohol-specific information and support sessions. It's going to be a really great opportunity for me to spend some time with women who aren't currently accessing alcohol support, alongside introducing women from Wirral Ways to the fabulous things that Tomorrow's Women already offer. And we're really looking forward to it, and I'll see you then.
Hi, my name's Maureen from Households Into Work. We support women to overcome any barriers they feel they may have to moving forward with their life. And we have many resources available to help us to do this.
Hi, I'm Margie from Households Into Work. If the foundations are right, anything is possible. So you can contact us on email hiw@wirral.gov.uk or mobile 07554 228526.
Happy International Women's Day!
Hi, my name is Simone Roche and I'm the founder of Northern Power Women, Northern Power Futures and the Power Platform. Really passionate about accelerating gender equality from the North and social mobility. Our passion on this International Women's Day is about being heard. We want to amplify voices across the north of England, so please sign up to the campaign, #BeHeard, and get in touch at northernpowerwomen.com or at North Power Women on socials. Thank you very much and happy International Women's Day.
Before I welcome back Pauline Daniels for a bit of light-hearted stand-up, or in this case sit-down comedy, don't forget to tell us your thoughts of today's event below in the comments section. And if your friends or colleagues would like to catch the event at a later date, it will be published on our YouTube channel for you to watch any time after the event finishes today. We hope you're enjoying it so far, with plenty more to come, including our charity AGM, where you can learn more about the charity's progress in the last 12 months from our Board of Trustees. Happy International Women's Day to all who are with us, and back to you, Pauline.
Hiya. First of all, can I just say a big thank you to Tomorrow's Women Wirral, because it's an honour to actually appear on their behalf on International Women's Day. I love all the girls. They do marvellous work. They really do. And I've been there from the beginning and watched them grow, and it's fabulous. Because I am a Birkenhead girl. Oh, yes. Oh, God, yes. I moved, though. Well, to be honest with you, I was shopping in the pyramids in Birkenhead. I mean, it sounds classy, doesn't it? But let's be honest, it's crap. Yeah. Anyway, I was attacked by this woman. She had to be in her 80s. She kicked me, she punched me, she spat at me, she pulled me hair. I said, well, keep your bloody handbag. Although I've got to be honest, I missed bits of the Wirral. I mean, I didn't live anywhere posh. I just lived in Tranmere, or as my mother called it, higher Tranmere. I don't know what was higher about it. It was just up the road from Leeds. It was probably just that hill. But bits of the Wirral are lovely, aren't they? I mean, like Caldy and Pensby and Heswell and Hoylake. They're all lovely, aren't they? It's all posh out there, isn't it? Yeah. Salvation Army have got a string section. All the women of Pensby, oh yeah, they have Perrier water in their steam irons. They have the big issue delivered. They've all got B-days. We haven't. We just do handstands in the shower. It's the same thing, isn't it? Anyway, being a woman on International Women's Day, I thought what I'd do is I would look at the problems we've had as kids growing up and getting to my ripe old age. To be honest, I'm 6 months older than my teeth. Yeah, my bus pass is 5 years old, and I eventually, thank you very much, Tory government, will get my pension at the end of June, because I should have had it 6 years ago, but never mind, that's another argument that I'll go into at another date. But being a girl has been very difficult. I mean, what's that thing the kids get now at McDonald's? Ah, yeah, fat. Now I know what it's like to be fat. I was a fat kid. My mother used to make all my bathing costumes. She used to knit them. Do you remember that? Yeah, she used to knit a blowhole in mine. It was awful. And it was my own fault. I used to say to me, mate, do us a favour, go to the shop and get us a yoghurt. And if they haven't got any yoghurts, get us something else. I knew they didn't sell yoghurts. She always came back with a meat pie. That's why I sent her. And if you notice that all of a sudden you grow up like that. I mean, one day you're playing with your pram, the next day you're out buying Tampax. Yeah, because it happens like that, doesn't it, eh? I mean, you wake up one day and you've got spots, greasy skin, greasy hair. I couldn't go swimming in the sea. No. They'd have to hose the seagulls down when I got out. Oh, and periods are terrible things, aren't they, eh? I mean, and I remember when they were simple, you know when they were one belt and two loops. Whatever happened to him, Dr. Weiss? Oh, and God. I mean, what kind of a joke did Mother Nature think she was doing when every 28 days she'd make every rational, sensible woman turn into a monster? PMT is a dreadful, dreadful thing. And if you work with a gang of girls, I mean, it affects you all at the same time. I remember reading about an office block explosion in Liverpool. It wasn't. It was just all the girls in the office all had PMT at the same time, and the chocolate machine was broke. Yeah. And then after the one belt and two loops came wings. Now, they can be very dangerous, I've got to be honest. I mean, if you put one of them on back to front, you give yourself a Brazilian. It's a lot cheaper, I suppose. Be great to see a man doing that, wouldn't it? Yeah. I'd be first in the queue for that job. Anyway, these things with wings, I've got to be honest, are very hygienic because you don't touch them. You just drop your drawers and they fly straight in the bin on their own. I was never one for Tampax, were you? No, I could never really get that. I was a bit scared of them. Although I did hear that you could get Tampax Super Plus and they were the most absorbent tampons in the world. So I thought, well, I'll give them a shot when I go on my holiday. I dived into a swimming pool. The whole pool, whoosh, gone. I've got one in my handbag though, a Tampax. Yeah, I've had it there for about 38 years. I'd never used it. I mean, I just really keep it there in case I get attacked and I can shove it up someone's nose and give them non-toxic shock syndrome. Then as you get older, of course, you have to start thinking about birth control. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've tried them all. But the best for me and the best for anybody, I reckon, is the pill. Well, you put 3 stone on and no one wants to give you one. You can't get better birth control than that, can you? And then there was the cap. Oh, God, awful thing. Used to fit on this thumb and this finger, and at times of great passion, you had to spread that with jelly. Used to go boom and piss off at the bedroom window. That's what all those UFOs in Widnes were. And then there was the coil. Oh, now there's a thing. Now, if any man ever wants to know what it's like to have a coil fitted, I always suggest they go home, get an umbrella, ram it up their arse and open it out, because it bloody hurts. I remember my coil extremely well. I remember if I stood with one leg on top of the telly and one leg out the window, we had the best Channel 5 in our street. And then I remember the day I was sat in the chair and Uri Geller was on. The bloody coil buckled and I was actually stuck to that chair for hours. Anyway, when the inevitable happens, the pregnancy happens, I mean, I'll be honest, you know, I mean, I was only young, I was 18, and I've got to be honest that I've only got the one child. Me and her father stayed together purely for her sake. Well, it's because neither of us wanted custody of her, to be honest. I was a cruel mother. I always believed that my daughter should be brought up the same way as I was, so my mother had her for 6 days a week. I bought one of those twin buggies. I told her I'd drowned her twin. Now, I know that sounds really, really shocking, but I've got to be honest with you. She wouldn't be able to do the job she does if it wasn't for me. She's a prostitute in Venice, works both sides of the canal. She's a hell of a swimmer. I remember going to the doctors and saying, what position will I be in when I give birth? He said, the same position you were in when you conceived. I said, all right. Have I got to drive round the dock road, my legs sticking out of a cortina? Scary, isn't it? I hate gynecologists. I was there recently. Legs in the stirrup. Felt like the Lone Ranger waiting for Tonto. In he came, stooped down, had a good look. He went, what seems to be the trouble? What seems to be the trouble? I said, there's no need to repeat yourself. He said, I didn't. It was an echo. Oh, but no. Having babies, God, I screamed. And that was just at the conception. You see, celebrities don't have that, do they? In fact, they go abroad and buy them, don't they? Just see them coming through customs. Anything to declare, madam? 200 ciggies, a bottle of whiskey, a bottle of Chanel No. 5. Oh, and twins. And then there's those celebrities that don't seem to put any weight on. I mean, God, that's dreadful. Absolutely awful. I mean, they lose their baby fat in like 2 hours. I was carrying my stomach over my arm for years. It's terrible, isn't it, eh? And then when it's all over, all that baby business and the period business, and you think, oh, well, I've got to that age now, I can relax and have a good life. Oh, no. Menopause comes knocking then. Now, everyone knows the worst thing about menopause is, well, everything, really, because you can blame the menopause on everything, can't you? I do. I blame it on weight gain. I blame it on tiredness. I blame global warming. Well, it could be, couldn't it? I mean, if you get enough Eskimo women all having a hot flush at the same time, well, you never know. I mean, I've fought it for a long time, because you can try, can't you? You can go to a health shop and get all sorts of alternatives. There's millet seed, there's linseed, there's sunflower seeds. I was walking around like a 5'2" budgie. HRT, that's what the doctor said. That's what you need, HRT. I thought he meant husband replacement therapy, and I was having a ball. You hear other things, don't you, that you never heard before in your life, like fibroids. I thought that was breakfast cereal. And your womb drops. Oh, God. I mean, I've got to be perfectly honest with you. I daren't swing my legs out the bed too quick of a morning, otherwise it'll end up in my slippers. But the hot flushes, they all came back again when I was actually diagnosed with cancer and I was on my medication. It's one of the worst things about the whole thing, to be perfectly honest with you. But my friend said to me, you can get menopausal magnets from Boots. So I went, I asked the girl. I mean, I thought she was having me on, but no, you can get them, yeah. Nothing from Boots, and 29 quid they are, but I thought anything is worth just getting rid of these off flushes. Last time I bumped into my mate, she said to me, how are you getting on with them menopausal magnets? I said, don't talk to me about them. First place I went to, Asda, the doors opened, stuck to the fridge for 3 hours. And then, as I said, I mean, I've been doing a bit of work all over the world. I mean, I was very lucky to go on cruise ships. The captain said to me one day, would you mind coming to the bridge? I said, what for? He said, the compass is broke. I said, well, he said, well, when you wake up in the morning, your arse is pointing north. I don't know. So what faces us now? Yeah. Every year we have to go and have our tits trapped in a vice, although I've got to be honest and tell you that is vitally important. That's how mine was discovered. So check your breasts and say to any men you know, check your testicles. And if you don't want to, they can form an orderly queue here and I'll check them. I'm joking. Yep, so I'm sort of 66 in June and looking forward to my pension. I've been married 4 times. Yeah, my first husband, may rest in peace soon. He actually divorced me because I was too short. Well, that and adultery, which wasn't my fault. No, I told you before about the doctor saying HRT was the thing, and I did think husband replacement therapy was what it meant. My second husband, he was a bit weird, yeah. We had a suicide pact. He took loads of tablets and somehow I felt better after that, so I never bothered. He went missing for days. The police knocked on the door. They said, we've got a bit of bad news for you. And I went, oh no, I haven't got to go and get all his clothes back from Oxfam, have I? They went, no, we found him floating in the River Mersey with 4 lobsters hanging off his underpants. What shall we do? I said, well, you have one. I'll have one. And let's throw him back in and see if we get any more tomorrow. My third husband, now, he had that alcoholic constipation. Couldn't pass a pub. He was on his way out one day and I said to him, where are you going? He said, I'm going to the pub. I said, before you go to the pub, can you do us a favour? He went, what? I said, would you mind mowing the lawn? It's a disgrace and the neighbours are laughing. He said, no, I'm going to the pub. I said, oh, please. He went, no, I'm going to the pub. I said, all right. He went, hey, does it say gardener on there? 2 days later, he's on his way out the door and I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to the pub. I said, before you go to the pub, will you do us a favour? He went, what now? I said, you know the little bedroom upstairs? He said, yeah. I said, you know, it needs one wall painting. He went, yeah. I said, could you do that? He said, no, I'm going to the pub. I said, I've got the paint out and everything, wash the brushes. He said, I am going to the pub. I went, all right. He went, hey, does it say painter and decorator on there? 3 days later, he come in, he went, what's that smell? I said, paint. He said, where from? I said, upstairs. He went up and had a look. He said, that's fabulous. I said, have a look out the window. Look at the lawn. He said, that's amazing. I said, I know. He said, you haven't done this. I said, no. I said, you know that 28-year-old lad who lives over the road? You know him. He's got a 6-pack as opposed to your party bucket. Well, he knocked on the door this morning and asked if I had any little jobs he could do. I told him about the paint. I told him about the lawn, so he did them. He said, well, what did you give him for that? I said, well, he said I could either take him upstairs and give him the best afternoon sex of his life, or I could bake him a cake. He said, what did you do? I said, does it say Mary Berry on there? I hope that gave you a giggle, girls.
Hi, my name is Lorraine Wood. I'm the Operations Manager at RASA Merseyside. RASA is the Rape and Sexual Abuse Centre. We provide trauma-focused therapy to women who have experienced rape and sexual abuse. We choose to challenge by assisting women to access their rights to other services and within the criminal justice system. We provide training opportunities for women, and we also offer clinical hypnotherapy groups with a focus on reducing anxiety, stress and depression and building confidence and self-esteem to assist women and girls getting back into work. For more information, you can contact us on 0151 558 1801 or visit our website, which is www.rasamerseyside.org. Happy International Women's Day from all of us at RASA.
Hi, my name's Siobhan Gaynor and I'm a DCI for Merseyside Police. I currently work in major crime and I'm really proud to say that for the first time ever, the positions of 3 Detective Chief Inspectors and the Senior Homes Manager are all staffed by women. In Merseyside Police, we fully support the work that's being undertaken by Tomorrow's Women, and we also fully support International Women's Day. Throughout our organisation, we have women working in various departments, roles and ranks that have previously predominantly been held by men. We choose to challenge the stereotype of what it means to be a woman working in the police service. You can contact us on 999 if it's an emergency, or alternatively via 101, our internet page or social media. Happy International Women's Day.
Thanks to all of our speakers and partners so far for your contribution to today's event, brought to you by Tomorrow's Women Wirral, your local women's charity working with women 18 plus to make permanent positive lifestyle changes, as well as young women 14 to 17 as part of our new Tomorrow's Young Women project. Before we join our Board of Trustees for our AGM, huge thanks to Wendy for this beautiful cover of You Will Be Found, a touching and meaningful song that we dedicate to all women and girls who've ever felt isolated, alone, abandoned and unheard. There's always support available to you, and we will always be there as women supporting women, because isn't that what International Women's Day is all about?
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear? Well, let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand, and oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around, you will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found.
Huge thanks again to Wendy there, and we move swiftly on to Tomorrow's Women's annual general meeting, led by founder and chairman of Tomorrow's Women, Maureen Thompson, with the TWW Board of Trustees and Elaine as acting board secretary.
As founding chair of Tomorrow's Women Wirral, I offer a warm welcome to our virtual annual general meeting. As I am joined by all our trustees, there are no apologies for absence. Due to changing work situations, unfortunately, 2 trustees have had to resign, Sarah Achilles and founder trustee John Sweeney. Both have been excellent. So on behalf of our busy board, our super staff and our wonderful women, I offer grateful and sincere thanks for their many years of full involvement in the life of TWW. I will now ask trustees who attended last AGM if they can confirm if the minutes of 2019 are a correct record, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Are there any matters arising from those minutes?
None.
No. No. Thank you. I now have a short report. I've never followed a white rabbit down a rabbit hole. Have you? A girl named Alice did, and landed in a very strange place where peculiar things happened, such as a Queen of Hearts made from a playing card kept shouting, off with her head. For many of us, 2020 was rather like falling down a rabbit hole, landing in an equally erratic place where everyone wondered what was happening. A very strange, odd, locked away environment, just as peculiar a wonderland as Alice experienced. But we are tomorrow's women and soon tackle today's difficulties. If women couldn't come into us, then we would go out to women. First, our sterling staff swiftly sprang into action by clearing and cleansing, sweeping, scrubbing and sanitizing, refining, restoring, renewing and repainting our centre. Such work is continuous, earning an excellent COVID-secure environment for visitors and staff on external health and safety risk assessments. We are like Alice, believing in doing 6 impossible things before breakfast. And often before breakfast, our little pink and purple van became exceptionally busy, with visored staff distributing many hundreds of hampers packed with sweet-smelling personal products. Women not only showered and bathed, they also bubbled. Yes, in small bubbles of 4 or 5, women attended our lickety-split cleaned centre to attend courses and gain certificates to help improve their future lives. Everyone wore PPE, of course, and kept a calm, clear head in following all the safety rules. The Queen of Hearts was redundant. We aren't women of doom and gloom. We believe in lightening and brightening lives. Our social media platforms and online courses did just that, including fun cooking on a budget and laughter therapy, and live-streamed Boxercise had a regular 2,000 hits. Continuous counselling and support was maintained and increased through thousands of telephone calls, with our staff constantly dealing with emotionally charged situations and crises. Such work is ongoing, and as a good management board, we have taken practical steps to improve our staff conditions of service with more pay and less hours. We know both staff and women long for a return to our previously normal, busy and happy special days and exciting events. Alice said to the caterpillar, "No use going back to yesterday, because I was a different person then." TWW was different yesterday, and perhaps we can't go back to that place either. But we can, steadily and intelligently, endeavour to do our utmost to bring fun, laughter, excitement, stability and purpose to every woman who needs our support in improving their life chances. At TWW, we choose to challenge. We are fearless. We are compassionate. We can and we will uncover the power of hope. Our Treasurer, Kevin, will now give our financial statements. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Maureen. This is the Treasurer's 2020 financial report for Tomorrow's Women. Our Constitution states that the financial records must be accurate, open and transparent. I'm therefore pleased to present the AGM with these details intended to inform and explain our financial position and performance. The annual financial statements for the year ended 30th of November 2020 have been prepared and will shortly be presented to our external auditors, McEwan Wallace, for their examination and verification. On approval, they will be duly published and filed at Companies House and the Charities Commission to comply with our legal obligations as a limited company and as a registered charity. 2020 has been an extraordinary and challenging year, but with continued financial support from our major funders, together with the dedication and courage of our wonderful management and staff, we have been able to carry on providing our key services and support in a safe and secure environment, adapting to the pandemic restrictions by offering services using remote and virtual means wherever possible. So financially, our total cash income in the year was £520,000, an increase of £67,000 compared with the previous year. During the lockdowns, we have lost significant income, normally generated at the centre through fundraising events and donations, probably in the region of perhaps £25,000 to £30,000. However, much of this loss has been replaced by several COVID emergency aid grants, which have helped us to supply and service our community outreach projects during this difficult period. Our total expenses in the year were £438,000, an increase of £56,000 on the previous year, of which £36,000 related to increases in staff salary costs and £28,000 related to capital expenditure on assets and improvements. Our core costs of staff salaries and rent account for 80% of our total expenditure. All of the costs are strictly controlled and are essential for the provision of our facilities, operations and services. The resulting annual net surplus for the year is therefore £102,000, bringing our total reserves held at the year end to £486,000. Considering all the restrictions and the general economic problems, this is a remarkable result, and it's a testament to the faith and trust that our supporters, partners and benefactors have in our charity. Our reserves policy is to maintain unrestricted funds at a minimum level of 3 months of expenditure. Unrestricted reserves at the year end amounted to £403,000, approximately 9 months of predicted expenditure. The reserves therefore do provide sufficient cover to support costs for more than the minimum period and are not considered to be excessive. Continued support from our core funders, with the backing of our reserves, provides confidence that we have the financial resources necessary to continue our normal operations at projected levels for at least the next 3 years. However, looking forward, we can expect our income to fall significantly, mainly due to the end of our big lottery grant. During 2021, our cash reserves could reduce by as much as £190,000. We will therefore look to develop further streams of income and funding partnerships which will be beneficial to the women and will secure our long-term future. Based on the firm foundation of our financial strength, we can look forward to reopening our centre again as soon as the current pandemic restrictions are eased. We can plan with confidence to rebuild and redevelop our full programme of support, courses and activities. So to conclude, a little less formally, I previously used an image of tomorrow's women being like a double-decker bus, because it's safe, it's comfortable, accessible to everybody, and takes our women forward to where they want to be, with links to other services and networks for wider travel if necessary. Well, our TW bus is in great shape. Sadly, it spent most of 2020 in the garage, offering a limited service only, but it's been cleaned and painted, fully serviced and sanitised, and it's raring to go. We have a full tank of fuel, and as soon as our doors can be opened again, we will be back on the road, taking our women forward on their journey to a brighter tomorrow. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Kevin. Elaine?
Okay. It is a constitutional requirement for the positions of Chairman and Treasurer of Tomorrow's Women to be voted for annually. Is anyone willing to stand as Chairman of Tomorrow's Women for the forthcoming year to March 2022? Do we have anyone interested? Maureen? Thank you. Maureen Thompson is willing to stand. Is anyone willing to propose Maureen as Chairman?
I will.
Thanks, Linda. Anyone willing to second the proposal?
I will.
Tracy? All those in Anyone against? Any abstentions? Maureen is unanimously voted as Chairman of Tomorrow's Women.
Thank you.
Also, thank you. It's a constitutional requirement for the position of Treasurer of Tomorrow's Women to be voted for annually. Is anyone willing to stand as Treasurer of Tomorrow's Women for the forthcoming year to March 2022? Thanks, Kevin. Kevin Sweeney is willing to stand. Is anyone willing to propose Kevin as Treasurer? Thanks, Tracy. Yep. Is anyone willing to second the proposal?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. Thanks, Sandra. All those in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Kevin is unanimously voted as Treasurer of Tomorrow's Women. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Well, due to this event being pre-recorded, we cannot answer questions at this time. However, we encourage you to submit any questions to our admin team on admin@tomorrowswomen.org.uk, and you will receive a prompt response. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance. I now close this AGM. You can read a more formal report about us in our forthcoming annual report. Stay safe, everyone.
Terry. And of course, as always, many thanks to our Board of Trustees for their continued support. We are approaching the end of our event today, and we hope that you've enjoyed every second of it. It will certainly be one to remember, though we hope to be able to host you all back in our Inspiration Hall in March 2022. International Women's Day may be celebrated one day each year, but it is an active fight for us all to take part in each and every day. Before we hear an update from Shirley Valentine, how will you actively choose to challenge gender bias to make a more equal world for all? To begin our pledges, TW Chair Maureen Thompson, as well as Lord Mayor of Liverpool, Anna Rothery.
Hello, I'm Maureen, founding chairman, TWW. Age 17, in a girls' grammar school, we had one chance and one choice only to state a career. If the head didn't approve, you lost your chance at university. My turn came. I'd like to be a doctor. Immediate response: young ladies, do not do that sort of thing. Go away. I'll be a nurse, I countered, but was again waved away with go. My chance at uni slipping away, I yelled out, "A teacher then!" Complete silence. Time ticked by. Then, "You dared to challenge me. Well, good for you. Make sure you pass the exams." Fortunately, I did. My favourite auntie said, "You don't want to go to university? Wouldn't you prefer to get married and have a family?" The two aren't mutually exclusive, but sometimes, even with caring people, you have to challenge cultural norms. Thanks to my sixth form challenge to bigotry, my eventual roles included deputy and head teacher positions, university lecturer, education advisor and inspector, and lead consultant National Mathematics Test Development Team for England and Wales. When a deputy, going for first head teacher interview, my male head said, "This is really a man's job, so don't wear makeup, leave your jewellery behind, and hide your hair under a hat." Next day, wearing makeup, jewellery and completely hatless, I was offered the headship. Sometimes you can choose to challenge without saying a word. That first winter, it was extremely thick snow. I received complaints from the male-dominated governing body. It was quite unladylike for their head teacher to turn up wearing trousers and Wellingtons, driving a tractor. I did live on a farm, and with a ladylike smile, I replied, "I can leave school closed if you prefer." Funny how some people's principles and social norms change when it suits. As a Justice of the Peace, I was truly privileged to be elected Chair of the Bench. After a few months, a male magistrate said to me, "I think the chairman's job should be a man, and I voted for a man. But I have to say, for a woman, you're doing a blooming good job." A compliment? For a woman, bias and inequality are everywhere. Bias is often unconscious and subliminal. Be the best version of yourself you can possibly be, and choose to challenge. You can make a positive difference to your own life and the lives of other women. Stay safe.
It's a great honour to join tomorrow's Women Wirral today to celebrate International Women's Day. And as you're all aware, Choose to Challenge is the theme for this year. I think we all make a choice as women to challenge various things, but the big challenge for all of us is about how we realise our dreams, our wants, needs and aspirations. And not just on an individual level, but how we support other women to realise their potential too. I've spent the last 2 decades supporting women into public life and politics to ensure that they understand the need for them to take their rightful place and be part of the decision-making process. And so on this International Women's Day, I reaffirm my commitment to women going forward, and I also wish you a very, very happy International Women's Day for 2021. Please take care and stay safe. Thank you.
I choose to challenge that all women are able to access physical activity to keep them fit and well in themselves.
We choose to challenge by helping marginalised groups, supporting women, challenging discrimination and offering specialist advice.
This month we have chosen to challenge toxic positivity and the effects it can have on people's mental health.
One way we challenge gender inequality and bias is through providing up-to-date information, for example around new HIV medications and prevention methods, to organisations our service users encounter to break down any stigma and foster equity of service where health inequalities are shown to exist. Another is by supporting women who may be experiencing social and economic discrimination by providing advocacy and outreach support to ensure that they are in receipt of benefits or social care and support that they are entitled to.
We choose to challenge the stereotype of what it means to be a senior leader within major crime.
So what an afternoon it's been, with such amazing, inspirational, wonderful women all together, albeit online of course. And now I welcome back Pauline Daniels for the final time today to give us a final excerpt from Shirley Valentine before we close. Thank you so much for staying with us, and please leave your final thoughts and comments below, and like and subscribe our channel at Tomorrow's Women Wirral for more digital content as part of our digital series TWW Online. One last time, Shirley Valentine.
So Shirley actually does get up the courage to go, and she's all packed and ready, and she goes shopping the day before, gets a little bit of nice underwear from Marks and Spencer's, bumps into the neighbour, blurts out that she's going to the Greek islands with her lover, because she thinks that, you know, Gillian, whatever you say to Gillian, she can always top it. And then gets a little bit scared about it. Her daughter then comes home and has a go at her and calls her disgusting for doing it. So she sort of loses her nerve a bit, and she was going to sort of opt out, and then Gillian came knocking with a package, and Gillian called her brave, and she said she was really quite jealous of her, really, because she'd never been brave enough to do it. So she gives her this package, and in the package is a beautiful silk robe. Anyway, Shirley gets the courage again, and off she goes. And of course, on the plane, Jane meets a fella, and Jane buggers off, and Jane's away for 3 days. And Shirley's quite happy because she's found a lovely little beach, well, a little part of the beach. She's frightened to go onto the big beach, you know, because she was on her own. And she's got this lovely little beach, and she started to talk to a rock because she has no wall. Then she starts telling us a story. And she says, it's funny, isn't it, when you're on your own, you walk into a restaurant and everyone's staring at you and everyone feels a bit sorry for you. And anyway, she meets this family who invites her to the table. She's not very happy there. And then she lets it slip that they're eating squid and all hell breaks loose. But then while they're all like having a drink in the bar, she decides that she wants to go outside. So off she goes. While everyone else was making their way to the bar, I went upstairs, grabbed me that little coat and stepped out in this lovely air outside. And that's when I met him. Christopher Columbus. Of course his name isn't Christopher. His name's Costas, but I call him Christopher Columbus. But you don't know why I call him that, do you? It's because he's got a boat. Well, it's his brother's boat, actually, because we discovered it. The lost Isle of Clitoris. I'm terrible. I suppose you think I'm wicked. Married woman, 42, grown-up kids. I suppose you think I'm terrible. But I wouldn't mind, but I would never have met Costas if she hadn't gone off with the walking groin in the first place. He kissed me stretch marks, you know. He did. He said they were lovely because they were a part of me and I was lovely. He said that stretch marks shouldn't be hidden away, that they should be displayed, that they were marks of life. Aren't men full of shit? I mean, can you see him waking up the next morning, he's got all these lines running across his belly. Can you see him running to the mirror and going, stretch marks, I've got stretch marks at last. But the thing about him was, the thing about Costas was that when he gave you all this guff, he believed it. And the marvellous thing was, he never made you at all feel threatened, and he understood how to talk with women. Well, that's the first thing I noticed about him, really, because, well, most men can't do that, can they? I mean, most men feel as though they have to take over the conversation. Like with most men, if you were to say something like, oh, my favourite season's spring, well, most men would say, is it? Mine's autumn. You see, because in the autumn, you'll find that And then you get half an hour on why he likes autumn. And you weren't talking about autumn, you were talking about spring. So what do? You either end up talking to yourself or you don't talk at all. And no words get spoken, they just become words and they just disappear. Well, Costa's wasn't like that. When I came out of the hotel that night, I walked down this little esplanade and I noticed this bar, and outside they had these tables and chairs, and I sat down at one. He came out to serve me. Excuse me, I said, would you mind if I was to move this table and chair over there by the edge of the sea? You want I move table and chair to edge of sea? What for? You know, like here at my bar? Oh yeah, I said, it's a lovely bar. It's just that I've got this soft little dream about sitting at a table by the sea. Ah, he said, a dream. I move table and chair for you. This make your dream come true. Yeah, I think so. Then I move table and chair for you. And tonight in my bar, I tell everyone, I make someone's dream come true. Well, I thought she was being sarcastic at first because, well, in England it would be, wouldn't it? But no. He moved the table and chair for me. He brought out the wine that I'd ordered. I paid him and thanked him. No, he said, I thank you. And he was gone, back inside the taverna, leaving me alone with the sea, the sun, and my soft little dream. It's funny, isn't it? You know, when you've pictured something, you know, made a picture of something in your mind. It never turns out that way, does it? I mean, for weeks I'd been picturing myself sitting here at a table by the sea. I even knew exactly how I was going to feel. But when it got to it, it wasn't a bit like that. When it got to it, I didn't feel at all lovely and serene. I felt pretty daft, actually. A bit stupid. And awfully old. And what I was thinking was, my life had been a crime, really, because I hadn't lived it fully. I'd allowed myself to live this little life when all along there was so much more I could have lived a better life with. My life had been a crime against God, and now it had all gone unused, and now it never would be. Why? Why do we get so much life if it can't ever be used? Why do we get all these hopes and feelings and dreams if they can't ever be used? That's where Shirley Valentine had disappeared to. She'd got lost in all this unused life. And that's what I was thinking, sitting there staring out, eyes wide open, tears splashing down. I must have sat there for ages. The noise from the bar had died down and the fella from the taverna was coming to lock up for the night. He came to take me glass. It was still full. I haven't even had a sip. He noticed I was crying. He didn't say anything. He just sat down and stared out at the sea. And when I'd got over it and when it was all right to talk, he said, dreams are not always in the places we expect them to be. I just smiled. Come, he said, I escort you back to your hotel. And he did, and he told me his name was Costas, and I told him mine was Shirley, and he said, tomorrow I take my brother's boat. We go out, we sail all around the island. We take food and wine. Oh no, I said, no thanks, you've been very kind, but it's no problem, I come for you early. No, I said, no, it's very nice, but you're afraid? No, I said, you're afraid. You're afraid I won't try to make folk with you. Well, I didn't know where to put myself. Of course, I like to make folk with you. You're a lovely woman. Any man be crazy not to want to make folk with you. But I don't ask you want to make folk. I ask you want to come my brother's boat. It's different thing. Boat is boat, folk is folk. Tomorrow we go early. Tomorrow we just have a good time. Tomorrow I just make you happy. No need to be afraid. I give my word of honour. I don't try to make folk with you. See you in the morning then. Of course, Shirley then gets to a point where she feels that she doesn't really want to go home. She realises she has to go home at some point, but she gets a little job in Costa's Taverna, and she loves it. She really loves it. Because when she walked up to the Taverna, Costa was talking to a woman sitting on a bar stool saying, "You afraid?" Nearly dropped his olives when he saw her. It's all right, Costas, I haven't come back for you. I've come back for the job in your Taverna. She gets on with all the people, and when they get a bit mixed up with the menu, she always makes them chips and egg and everybody's happy. I have most days to myself and just work the nights. I've got the night off tonight though, because, well, Joe's arriving. First time he phoned after Jane landed, he screamed at me. He said I must have finally gone mad. He said I was a disgrace to the kids, to him, to the EU, to the Queen. It's the easiest thing in the world to put the phone down on him. The second time he rang, he said, "You can't run away from life." And I agreed. And now that I'd found some life, I had no intentions of running away from it. He started to scream and shout again then. He said, he knew all about me holiday romance and how I'd made a fool of myself. But he said, if I stopped all this arsing around, got myself on a plane back home where I belonged, he said, he promised he'd never mention it again. I said, the only holiday romance I've had, Joe, is with myself. And I think I quite like myself, really. I think I'm okay. I think if I could see myself now, I think I'd say that woman's all right. She's okay. She's living in the life that she wants. She's not remarkable. She's not going to be there in history books, but she's there in the time that she's living in. And maybe all that bullshit is true. Maybe the scars and wounds are about being alive. There was a silence. Thought he'd gone off the phone at first, then I heard him. I knew it, he said. I knew it. It's the change of life, isn't it? Yes, Joe. It's a change of life, and that's why you're wasting your time phoning me trying to get me to come back. I'm not coming back. The next time he rang, he said that our Melandra was fretting for me and that our Brian had been arrested busking without a licence, and that he loved me, and the one thing he wanted was for me to come back home. I explained to him that it was impossible because the woman he wanted to come back no longer existed. And I got his letter saying he was coming to get me. Oh, God love him. He must have been watching Rambo. He'll be here soon. I hope he stays for a while. He needs a holiday. He needs to sit and stare out at the sea. He needs to be in water that's as deep as forever and have his wet head kissed. I asked Costas to put the table and chair out again. "You'll look for your dream again?" "No, Costas," I said, "no. But I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait for Joe." And as he walks along the esplanade and walks right past me because he doesn't recognise me anymore, I'll call out. And as he turns and looks at me all puzzled and quizzical, I'll say, "Hello. I used to be the wife. I used to be the mother. But now, I'm Shirley Valentine again. Would you like to join me for a drink?" I hope you enjoyed those pieces. It would be absolutely fabulous if one day we could actually all get together and do it all properly. I hope you've enjoyed my little sections as well for International Women's Day. I wish you all the very best. And remember, girls, nothing is impossible. You can do it. Whatever it is, you can do it. You can get there. All you need is strength and support from your friends. And stick with tomorrow's women because they're going to be your best mates. From me, Pauline Daniels, Have a cracking International Women's Day.
We hope you've enjoyed yourself with Tomorrow's Women this afternoon, and I have little more to say really than to wish you all the happiest of International Women's Days on this 8th of March 2021, with love, support, big dreams and hopes for the future. In a post-COVID world where we know mental health and other support issues are only going to be heightened. Know your local women's charity, as well as the other amazing services we've heard from today across Wirral and beyond, will always be there for you. With special thanks to our guest speakers Pauline Daniels and Kate Blakemore, all of the services and individuals who've contributed to today's event, who will be detailed below, all of our Board of Trustees and patron Dame Lorna, and the excellent, resilient, supportive staff team of Tomorrow's Women, but most importantly to all of you and to all of the women across the world who continue to fight, to make change and make a better world for our future generation of girls. To find out more about Tomorrow's Women, check out our website at www.tomorrowswomen.org.uk and all of our social channels at Tomorrow's Women. Or you can give us a call on our admin office number, weekdays 9 till 4 p.m. on 0151 647 7907. Thank you so much again for joining us today, and happy International Women's Day from all of us at Tomorrow's Women. #ChooseTheChallenge.